EDF loadouts give you an enormous amount of choice, but missions immediately place conditions on it. Enemy type, numbers, terrain, available space, engagement distance, and mission structure influence what a successful build needs to accomplish. A dense ground swarm favors very different equipment from scattered flyers. A small number of durable enemies can make concentrated damage more valuable than wide area coverage. Open maps provide room to create distance, whereas enclosed environments can make close-range firepower more important. Some enemies can comfortably be fought on foot. Others make speed, protection, or both increasingly important. Before selecting equipment, identify the potential problems the mission presents. Do you need crowd control, reliable anti-air, long-range damage, heavy burst damage, support equipment to benefit NPCs or other players, enough mobility to disengage, protection against enemies likely to reach you? Most importantly, how heavily does the mission reward each capability? No loadout needs to excel at everything, nor does every slot need to perform a different job. It needs to excel at the things that matter here. Good weapons won't automatically produce a strong build. Filling several weapon slots with equipment occupying similar roles can leave another requirement completely uncovered. However, that same overlap can be intentional when the mission heavily rewards one particular capability. Multiple close-range weapons can maximize sustained pressure at point-blank range. Several burst damage options can quickly eliminate priority targets. Stacking crowd control weapons can provide much greater control over large groups. In these cases, the loadout sacrifices broader coverage to become very good at achieving one result. The same applies beyond weapons. Ranger should consider what his support equipment or vehicle contributes to the setup. Wing divers' weapons, flight core, and backpack equipment need to function as one energy system. Air Raider has multiple attack and replenishment systems alongside his vehicle. Being mindful of credit costs and how reliably equipment can be reused is paramount. Fencer's weapons and enhancement equipment can alter his movement, defense, and entire method of fighting. A powerful attack with inadequate range contributes nothing against something it can't reach. Slow projectiles lose value against targets that can easily avoid them. Huge explosives can demolish crowds at distance or split approaching enemies apart with the blast wave. The way damage is physically delivered matters just as much. Air Raider being an obvious example. A ground-based bombing run like Phobos can possess enormous total damage when the entire attack passes through a dense concentration of grounded enemies. Against flyer types, much of that same attack can pass harmlessly underneath them. The numbers haven't changed. The amount of damage you can realistically extract from them has. Range, accuracy, projectile behavior, area coverage, reload speed, magazine capacity, and target compatibility all contribute towards the real performance of an attack. Never forget, specialization only works when the equipment is specialized towards the right problem. Another question is how long the chosen equipment can continue performing its intended role. Air Raiders' credit-based air support requests and vehicles depend on the mission providing enough enemies to fund repeated use. A costly request can be great when many suitable targets serve as a steady supply of credits. Take that same equipment into a mission with very few enemies, and you might only receive one use. One use can still be enough if it removes the mission's most dangerous threat. A vehicle follows the same logic. If replacing it requires more credits than the mission can reasonably provide, losing it may remove a major part of the build permanently. Wing Diver should consciously watch how her equipment will impact energy consumption to stay mobile. Fencer can encounter significant downtime and vulnerability depending on weapon combinations and support equipment. Rangers will often pair weapons with different operating rhythms to maintain pressure when needed. Movement leeway is usually one of the biggest priorities during loadout selection. Mobility determines how easily you can create space, escape pressure, reposition around terrain, and control the range of an engagement. Ranger may decide that improved dash performance provides everything the mission requires. Other situations make a vehicle more valuable. A fast vehicle can outrun enemies Ranger can't realistically evade on foot. A high HP one can provide protection against threats that would make fighting outside dangerously exposed. Wing Diver's movement draws from the same energy source as her weapons. Two demanding weapons paired with an unsuitable core can consume so much energy that flight and boosting become too restricted. The same problem occurs when the core's characteristics don't suit the mission, such as excessive boost consumption, repeatedly forcing her into emergency charge. Her core needs to support the guns, the movement demands of the mission, and how the backup equipment is intended to contribute. Fencer can push mobility even further through weapon pairings and enhancement equipment. Depending on the mission, that mobility may only need to provide reliable repositioning, or it may become important enough to build much of the loadout around. Air Raider can use his vehicle for the same purpose. Speed can become more valuable than additional stationary firepower when enemies are too dangerous to consistently outrun on foot. Mobility can be the priority. Survival follows the same principle. Defensive equipment occupies space that could have strengthened something else, but that sacrifice can be entirely worthwhile when protection is central to the intended strategy. Fencer's shields make this particularly visible. A shield can withstand frontal punishment that might otherwise force constant movement or make an engagement extremely dangerous. That can justify investing in one. If maintaining that defensive position is the build's primary objective, dedicating several equipment choices towards strengthening it may be more useful than spreading those slots across unrelated capabilities. Is a shield actually needed? Does it work against the enemies creating the greatest danger? Do the paired weapons complement it? How much mobility has been sacrificed? Could movement solve the same problem better? Survival can come from three main ideas: defense, mobility, or simply wiping out the threat before either becomes necessary. What is this build trying to achieve? Then make sure its individual parts help it achieve that. The end game isn't to minimize overlap, but to decide how much of the loadout each problem deserves. Specialization becomes a weakness when it sacrifices useful abilities for something the mission doesn't require. Not every mission needs the class to be rebuilt from scratch. A well-constructed setup can stay productive across numerous scenarios when consecutive missions demand similar roles. At times, only one weapon needs changing. A different vehicle might make more sense. Wing Diver may benefit from another core. Fencer might alter one weapon pairing or piece of enhancement equipment. Other missions invalidate several previous choices at once. Terrain can remove the space a mobility strategy depended on. A new enemy type can make previously dominant weapons poorly suited to the new threat. Low enemy numbers can restrict expensive Air Raider equipment. A particular threat may suddenly make additional range, protection, or speed essential. Adaptation doesn't mean changing equipment simply because something new enters the ring. It means recognizing when the existing setup still answers the mission and when it no longer does. As you can see, despite how differently the four classes operate, loadout construction repeatedly returns to the same questions. What am I fighting? Is it a small or large-scale fight? Which enemies actually present the greatest danger? At what range do I want to fight? Can my attacks reliably connect? How will these weapons impact my positioning? How much crowd control does this mission require? What happens when enemies reach me? How do I create distance? Can my equipment sustain itself for as long as I need it? If everyone else goes down, does the build retain enough mobility, independence, and freedom to continue functioning? And so on. Yes, it's a lot to think about. But remember, the answers can remain almost identical across several missions. When they don't, Change only as much as the new conditions demand. The games give you tremendous freedom over how you solve those problems. It gives you much less freedom over which problems need solving.